Characters coming back to life is one of those fictional plot devices that carries an incredible set of risks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And it's not always the same situation either. Sometimes you only thought the character was dead, and the reveal turns out to be that they weren't. If they do die, sometimes they only come back temporarily. Sometimes they come back but only as a disembodied voice. Sometimes they come back as a robot. You never know. So what I got for you here is 12 awesome moments in no particular order when characters come back to life in a video game. Not a top 12 list, there's too many games I haven't played that would probably deserve to be there a lot more. One other thing, this video is obviously going to be a haven of spoilers, so what I'm going to do is for each entry, I will name the game first, then shoot the breeze for about 10 seconds before saying who the character is. That way, if you don't want to be spoiled, you can just click the next entry's timestamp in the video description. So, let's do this. Number 1. Final Fantasy IV. And the character is Rydia. People die and come back to life in this game about as often as Tom Cruise goes for a run. But Rydia's return is the one single moment that made me realize I love RPGs. She's one of the first party members to join you on your quest. And at the time, she's just like 10 years old and you just killed her mother's summon, therefore her mother, and just life is not good for her at all. While riding overseas, Leviathan attacks and Rydia gets swallowed. She's basically dead, right? Well, you would think. About a week later, you've just busted into the underworlds for the first time. Seriously, forget the depths, dude, this was a freaking surprise right here. And met the dwarves at their castle. You check in on their crystal, only for the big bad Golbez to surprise attack. He summons his shadow dragon and paralyzes the entire party. This moment is seriously terrifying. It's easy to just look and say, oh no, paralysis, it's just a video game, but if you were in that situation for real, can you even imagine? Anyway, one by one your party members fall to what I can only assume is supposed to be the dragon biting you. Ugh. Saving the best for last, Golbez taunts Cecil, and all you can do is just wait and pray to God that it doesn't hurt too much. Only then, out of the blue, the mist starts gathering, and the very first boss you fought in the game, the Mist Dragon, shows up and blasts the absolute batshit buttnuts off of Golbez and the Shadow Dragon. The Shadow Dragon falls, and if you remember, this dragon was the summon of Rydia's mother. The massively badass Four Fiends boss theme kicks in as Rydia joins your side. All grown up and poised to dismantle this mofo. That moment, I fell in love, and it took me like a year to get over it. Number 2, Danganronpa. There's also going to be a bit of a Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair spoiler, so just be ready for that, I guess. Chihiro Fujisaki. One of the most absolutely lovable characters you'll ever meet. Chihiro is very mild-mannered and so kind as to the point that they won't even swat a mosquito away if it's trying to drink their blood. Unfortunately, Chihiro ends up dying in the second chapter in one of the most undeserved deaths in the entire series. Shortly afterward, the rest of the cast discover that Chihiro has made a little facsimile of himself into a laptop called Alter Ego. And so Chihiro gets to continue to be helpful for a few more chapters, at least until that Chapter 4 execution, which still infuriates me to this day. Ugh. Fuck that fucking fuck. Oh, I might leave that in. If I had one complaint, I think this character's revival happens a little too soon after the death. It would have been more surprising, cathartic, and most importantly, unexpected if it had happened later, as in like how it happened again at the final chapter of Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair. That was a surprise. Number 3, Mother 3. I bet that most people who know me think I'm about to drop Hinawa here. Actually, no. My pick for this is Klaus. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Hinawa, but her appearance, or should I say reappearance, in Chapter 6 and again at the end of the game, it's just a little bit of a Deus Ex Mother, if you know what I mean. Klaus, on the other hand, who you think also died at the end of the first chapter, returns in a much less overt and obvious way. Some players might not even recognize him the first time he does reappear. I personally didn't figure it out till Chapter 7. It's the kind of return of a character that's so gradual it leaves you questioning if you really saw what you think you just saw, and nobody else in the game really talks about it. So that uncertainty just kind of festers in the back of your mind for the entire last half of the game. The whole time you're thinking you might be wrong, and at a certain point hoping that you are, but that hope dissolves just a little bit more every time you see him, until he finally reveals his face at the very end, and then dies. Again. I know in some headcanons, Klaus and possibly even Hinawa are brought back in the secret end ending, but that's ultimately up to the player to decide. Number 4, Super Mario Sunshine. Wait a minute. Somebody actually dies in the Mario universe? That's right, folks, good old Flood is on my list too. You could be forgiven for not even remembering that Flood dies at the end of Super Mario Sunshine, but damn if Mario's reaction doesn't at least put a lump in your throat. I guess you spend enough time together, you're bound to get attached to anything, and Flood definitely came across at times like he had a little bit of sentience in there. Not to mention how he could feel himself falling apart during the final battle against Bowser. But end credit Toads, see to it that Flood lives to see another day, and God bless those Toads. Number 5, Metroid Dread. So much D, I tell you. This would be none other than Samus Aran herself. I guess this one's kind of cheap because she's only dead for like 15 seconds as Ravenbeak appears to have suffocated her or something. But the reason I absolutely had to put this one on here is because of what happens next. First off, can we talk about that scream? No? Yeah, it would be a disservice to taint anything so pants-shittingly awesome with something like words. Second off is the Metroid suit. Is that really what it's called? It's almost like a throwback to Super Metroid, with the Metroid hatchling bestowing the Hyper Beam onto Samus. And boy does it look cool in this game. I imagine that this is what they would have liked it to look like in Super Metroid if they'd had the graphical power. I sure would have loved to see a Hyper Beam that looks like this, melting the face off of this abomination. On the other hand, we did get those screams of agony from that thing, so there you go. Number 6. Final Fantasy VIII. There's nothing quite like a school bully versus an introvert to sound off the relatability alarms, but how crazy is it when said school bully, name of Cypher, ends up getting executed? There's a lot that could be said about this whole event, about how militarized life can mess with your head, about Squall's outburst at hearing his friend get talked about in the past tense, to say nothing of the implications of lying to a group of teenagers about something like this in the first place. Final Fantasy VIII was my first 3D Final Fantasy, and this parade scene will always be, to me anyway, one of the biggest jumps in grandeur and graphical quality for the series. Anyway, at this parade, your assignment is to assassinate Edea Kramer. And this is, of course, a few hours after you just remember that she is your mother. Now, all that's bad enough, but who else would be standing by her side but the man, Cypher himself, alive and well and basking in the cheers, only one or two of which I could imagine were actually meant for him. I also can't imagine how Squall must feel after seeing him there, after the apparent intensity of Squall's thoughts he had upon thinking that Cypher was dead. I do like that Cypher comes back around to being a normal guy in the end. Hell, he almost even seems likable at that point. And that makes his comeback here just barely worth it, because otherwise I never thought it was that big of a deal as I'm probably making it sound here. Number 7, The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Any excuse to use this song, I'll tell you what. You've just taken on a murder case in the absolutely beautiful town of London. William Shakespeare is the victim, and as you're investigating the crime scene, his body is still there, sitting slumped over the kitchen table. Somewhere in the middle of a random conversation when you're least expecting it, but let's be honest, you were never expecting it, he slowly sits up. We should probably go.
Oh, holy God! That scared the fuck out of me! Oh my God!
This moment almost scared me clear out of my seat. The very truth you spend all these games seeking, changing right before your eyes. It is also kind of an exciting moment, I say only in the sense that Shakespeare has one of the most ridiculous designs in the game, and you really can never get too much of this guy. The fact that he shows up for like a half a minute in the first game is also brilliant. As a writer, I feel compelled to explain why that is, but do I really need to? Number 8, Banjo-Tooie. Well, we got 2 choices here, maybe 3? There's Tootie, who nobody ever said died, but she ends up on the side of a milk carton, so who the hell knows. There's Bottles, who dies and comes back and nobody cares. And last but not least, we have the queen herself, Gruntilda Winky Bunyan. At the end of Banjo-Kazooie, Grunty tries to turn Banjo into a frog as a last resort before falling seemingly to her death. The game devs change their mind at some point and now she just randomly misses, which is pretty much just as funny. Whether it's the softness of the dirt or the heaviness of Miss Winky Bunyan, or maybe just for want of a Looney Tunes influence, somehow she makes a grunty-shaped hole in the ground as she lands, with a large rock landing right on top of her. For the next 2 years, Klungo tries to get her out, but to no avail. I guess some might say Grunty never actually died here, but we don't know the rules of the Banjo universe, really. How long can you survive without food here? Either way, when Grunty does return, she's a skeleton, so I'd say, yeah, she pretty much died. Twice over, if you count the death of her rhyming. Number 9, Starfox 64. I mean, I probably don't need to hang up on this one too long here. For as simple of a shoot 'em up and shoot 'em down as a Starfox game is, 64 carries an undeniable legacy that we can only keep praying gets followed up on. Its voice acting gets quoted even now, damn near 30 years later. But one voice that you don't hear quoted very often is James McCloud. Starfox is never too heavy on its story, and the concept of a veteran dying and his son trying to follow in his footsteps is hardly revolutionary. But there's a certain sincerity you can't help but feel in the feelings of Fox McCloud himself in sticking to the mission and setting a good example for his wingmen. It does kind of suck that everyone and their mother feels the need to constantly remind him of it, though.
Daddy screamed real good before he died. Too bad Dad's not here to see you fail.
You will die just like your father. Ah, the son of James McCloud.
You'll be seeing your dad soon, Fox.
Follow your father's example, Fox. You're becoming more like your father. This brings back memories of your dad. Your father helped me like that, too. I see your father in you, Fox.
But in the end, when Andros flips the kill switch, Fox finds himself engulfed in an explosion and literally seeing the light. And that's when...
Don't ever give up, my son.
Father?
Man, I've seen it so many times now that I'm usually just kind of like, well, here goes this part. But damn if this isn't a really beautiful and poignant moment. Only accentuated further by Fox searching around in space for him after he makes it out. In the words of Slippy, way to go, Fox. Number 10, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I know this one tends to be a little bit divisive among the fanbase, and I can see why. The entire story's been building up to this gargantuan moment when Zelda swallows her secret stone, because Demon King, and wills herself to the death of consciousness and eternal life as an oblivious dragon. I still wonder just how oblivious the dragons really are with how that final fight goes, which is awesome, by the way. But the divisive part comes when Rauru and Sonya turn up and basically reverse all the rules of the established story up to this point. How many times did Minoru holler at Zelda about how the process was irreversible? Would have been nice to see some proof of that, but anyway. They reverse Zelda back to her human form so that she and Link can live happily ever after. So here's a quick story. When I was a kid, I was sitting in a waiting room with my parents one day. A guy came in and got something from the vending machine. He forgot his change, a whopping 10 cents, and left the room. Shortly afterward, I got up, ran to the machine, and sniped his 10 cents. A few minutes later, the guy returned, and I stood up and walked over to give him his dime back. My parents, proud of my honesty, however coerced it might have been, praised me and gave me 20 cents. Just as a kind of way of instilling in me that kindness would be rewarded. That's kind of how I feel about this scene. It's not important that Zelda goes through with the sacrifice because she did that anyway. The fact that she would have done it is why she deserved to be rewarded for it. That's just how fiction was in the old days of me, I guess. Kira died protecting Jin and the Dark Crystal, she was brought back. E.T. gives up his connection to Elliot and dies, he was brought back. Anna jumps in front of Elsa, she comes back. Kid in Pay It Forward is kind to everybody and he... Oh yeah, he died. And that was kind of bullshit. So was Auntie in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, seriously! Number 11, Xenoblade Chronicles. Yeah, this one. Okay. I mean, here's the thing, I have one specific from Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that I think I would have liked to put here more, but I'm saving that for a different video because I want to put that on a different list. You'll see when we get there someday. Hopefully I make that video. Anyway, early in the game, Fiora is horribly mutilated by Metalface, and as much as we would all love to hate him for what he did, that voice acting is just too freaking good, man.
Screams were music to my ears. My claws slid right through her soft flesh. Like a hot knife through butter.
Well, a lot of stuff happens, but the highlight for me was always the first time you actually physically see her after that, and she's all jacked up on a big machine. Just the look on her face, it's almost threatening. You can't tell if they really got her, or if she's just trying to get you to stay away. I think I felt more hopeless after that encounter than I did when she died originally. Because now, instead of ripping off the band-aid, they were just dangling the carrot. Of course, I was not ready for how awesome the reunion between her and Shulk was going to be. My hopes were all but dashed at that point, but then they just started talking and connecting and... Look, it's just this freaking moment right here, okay? When they touch their foreheads together, damn, dude. I've been streaming for 9+ years, and I think that might be the only time I've ever had to physically use a tissue. That moment was just so sweet. As always, though, everything comes at a cost, and the cost of this one is...
Shulk, you can
Yep. Number 12, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I mean, this is basically an if you know, you know situation. Like, I don't know. Anyway, it's Bulbasaur. I only say Bulbasaur because that's who I got for my starter, but you could substitute whoever you got for your own starter in as Bulbasaur. At a certain point in the game, it's like you just go away and your partner Pokemon is like all sad about it and everything, and you feel so bad. And you think that that's it. You think it's over, and then suddenly, like, you get this option to return. There's just this moment. It's another one of these forehead-touching moments. I don't know why these are so good. What is it about touching foreheads, man? I don't know. This one got me pretty freaking good, too. But I wasn't streaming when I did it, so it doesn't count towards the whatever that was I said in the last video. Yeah, I like this one. It's just really sweet. I can't even imagine it being anybody other than Bulbasaur and Skitty. Like what it would look like or how it could possibly be as touching, but then that just goes to show you. You get attached to whoever you end up with regardless of who it is, and there's something kind of cool about that, you know? I'm just gonna add one more here, number 13, Silent Hill 2. And okay, I know there's probably some people who are watching who don't care about being spoiled on games. Well, trust me, you're gonna care about this one. So I'm not gonna say anything, just wow. That game's crazy. Yeah, I think that pretty much does it. So as always, thanks for hanging out with us here, or with me, I guess. And, I don't know why I said us there just now. Yeah, it's been fun. I have no idea which of these videos is going to go first. I got like 4 different ideas bumping around in my head, and I'm just kind of doing them as they come to me. But yeah, so I have no idea what's in store for the future, but maybe it's better to not know. Likes and comments are appreciated as always. I will see you next time, and goodbye. I came back to life to say bye a second time. Bye.